What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Now, today is actually my last states question and answer video for this, I guess, the 2014-2015 season. It is going to go out to Justin Justin Aaron from Tennessee. He actually is a Team Fish Knuckles member. He actually got top 4 at Tennessee States with a Yveltal, Raichu, Garbodor deck, as you see right here. Now, this is kind of like Andrew Wembout's list. I'll link down below, and Dylan Dreyer's list. So Dylan Dreyer actually played this Yveltal Garbodor list, but it said he didn't play the 2-1-1 Raichu line. He played a 2-2 Garbodor. But in Andrew Wembout, he actually cut out a Toad to put a Keldeo in there, but Justin kept with the size Toad. He didn't put the Keldeo in there. And he did put the 1-1 Raichu, and he talks a lot about the 1-1 Raichu. But overall, it's just a solid deck. I mean, Yveltal is one of the most, obviously one of the solid decks in the format right now. It has 50-50 just about everything, if not more, against some decks. And then Raichu helps out in the mirror match. But hopefully you enjoyed the interview, and thanks for watching. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we do another states question and answer video. And what's your name?
Justin Aaron.
And where are you from?
Memphis, Tennessee.
All right. And what states are we talking about?
Tennessee States.
Okay, all right. So how'd you end up doing a Swiss?
I went 402.
Okay. And what were the decks that you played, and did you win or tie against them?
Okay, so round one, I played, it's so crazy. It was so dumb, and the first 3 rounds, I played against people that, I'm friends with. I was like, really? There's 63 other people here, and awesome. Thanks, guys. So round one, I played against Leslie, another Team Fish Knuckles person, represent. And so she's playing fairies, and I was just like, man, it could be a tough matchup just because she dropped Klefki turn 1. I was like, oh, all right, there's -40. Got to get Garb out. And then she played Rainbow Energy. I'm like, why does she play Rainbow Energy? And to game 2, I figured out she played Shaymin EX. I was like, man, glad she didn't drop those, except she had to because she started with a game 2, and it was kind of funny, but it was bad. I felt bad. But I 2-0'd her. And it just took a while, -40 up until I got Garb out. But I mean, I was actually really nervous in the first probably 4 or 5 turns of game 1, but then she just kind of didn't hit anything. I was just going ham with Toad and Yveltal, and it's still good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And then round 2, again, I played against John Collier, who Team Fish Knuckles, and we're literally playing almost the exact same deck. So the night before we were testing, and he was going to play Flareon, and then I was playing my deck and just 3-0'd him. It was really bad. And so he's like, okay. I'm like, John, just play this deck. You'll do really good. And so he didn't like the Garbodor. So instead of a 1-1 Raichu and 1-1 Garbodor, he put in a 2-2 Raichu. And I knew this. I'm like, man, this makes things a lot more difficult. And he took out the Float Stones, and he replaced them with a Zerosic and a Pokemon Center Lady because I told him to. And I'm like, why is this happening? The 4 cards that he changed are going to beat me. And so, game 1, I won. And so we go to game 2, and I'm like, all right. I'm not going to slow play, but I wasn't slow playing. I just was not going as fast as possible, if that makes any sense.
You're taking your time to think.
Exactly. I was going over all my plays. Well, he won the 2 Raichu and the stupid Zerosic and Pokemon Center Lady, and I'm like, man, we're going to tie. There's 7 minutes left. And so we're going to game 3, and if we would have had more time, I think I could have won, but I don't know. But we tie, and I was just like, this sucks. Because we only had 6 rounds. And so it is what it is. And then I played against Scott Modern, another Nashville person that I'm friends with. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to play everybody today that I know. And another guy, Dustin, was sitting next to me, and I'm like, if we both win, we're going to play next round. This is stupid. Did I play Dustin? I might have. Anyways, so I played Scott, and he was playing his Yveltal deck, and I don't remember a whole lot of it, but I think I 2-0'd him. I just know that I won around, and every time I dropped Pikachu, I played out of the 5 games that I played, because I ID'd my last round, I played against 4 Yveltal decks, and I dropped the Pikachu. And other than John, because he knew about it, they were like, "Oh," like their face. It was just so funny when I dropped it. I'm like, "Haha, yes." And so Raichu just did a lot of work. And then in round 4, I was playing against Andrew Wester, and he sits down. He's like, "So did Squeaky tell you what I'm playing?" I'm like, "No." And again, he's from Nashville or that area,
Yeah,
but I'd never really met him. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And in my head, I'm like, "Squeak, you did mention something about a Kangaskhan and an Eviltal deck. Is this him?" But I didn't want to say anything. And so, sure enough, there's a Kangaskhan. I'm like, "Okay." It's a Kangaskhan. And, like, sure enough, he at some point he Kindred kicks me, and I think he knocked something out. And I won game 1, and he won game 2 because I didn't think there was a Mega Kangaskhan, and then he Mega Evolved, and so there was a Mega Kangaskhan, and I had, like, a Toad with a Muscle Band and DCE, no damage, and he promotes Kangaskhan. He's like, "You know, it's really weird that I've used Kindred Kick more than Wham Bam Punch, but let's go for 3 heads." And he flipped a heads, and then he flipped a second one, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then he flipped a third one, and he knocked out my Seismitoad with no damage on it with a Wham Bam Punch because he flipped 3 heads. And, like, part of me wanted to ask him to keep flipping, but I knew based, like, with time, I was like, I can't be a jerk. But I told him, like, during my time, like, I really wanted you to keep flipping to see how high you could go, but I knew it would take up too much time because you'd probably hit, like, 13 heads. But game 3, I won. It was pretty close to time or in time. Again, it was just Raichu just going off. And, like, that was the best decision of the whole tournament, put in Raichu. And then round 5, like, I played it, like, it had to have been another Eviltal deck. I feel bad. Like, I can't remember the guy's name. But, again, like, story of the day was Raichu and watching their face when Pikachu came down. Like, it was so sad. For them, not for me. I was just like, yes. And maybe you can edit that part out. But anyways, so I'm 401 at that point, and I'm, like, crapping my pants because I just need top 8 to get my invite. And I knew that, like, IDing, I'd get into 402. And so then I get paired up against BJ, who was he was undefeated. He was 5-0. I'm like, "BJ, do you just want a tie?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Oh, thank God." And I was done for the day. And so I ended up at 402, and he was playing Fighting Bats. And I feel like I could have beaten it, but I didn't want to, like, risk it and go 4-1-1 and possibly not make top 8.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been, I probably would have cried. But yeah, so I made top 8, and I was the 3rd seed. And I had to play against Kyogre, and I was just like, man, that's, like, my only auto loss, almost. And so I talked to this, like, really smart guy named Josh Marking about how do I beat Kyogre. And he said, "Make sure you get Garbodor." And I was like, huh. I'm like, "Oh yeah, because Keldeo," because I was dumb. And then just load up a big Eviltal. And so Sunday out comes, and game 1, I got Garbodor, turn 2 or 3, and I had, like, a 6 or 7 energy Eviltal. And he wasn't drawing anything, and he scooped. And in game 2, he got, like, a turn 3 Kyogre. And I was like, and Trubbish and Garbodor were both prized. I'm like, well, all right, game 3, let's go. And game 3, I had Garbodor turn 2, and I had a really, really big Eviltal, and he didn't draw anything. And I kind of felt bad, but I was like, oh man, I made top 4. But I knew I was playing against Executor because it was a mirror match from whoever I was going to play, which I was like, man, that sucks. So then top 4, I played James Hart, and game 1 was awful. It was like 3 minutes long, and I just scooped. And then game 2 was like, because we had 75-minute Top Cut, right?
Yeah. It was like
game
forever.
Game 2 went probably 55 minutes. And there was a turn, I had Garbodor out. Like, I got Garbodor after, like, turn 12 or 15. Like, it was stupid. But it was great. And I could have poisoned his Virizion. But in my mind, I was like, but if he attaches a grass, he's not poisoned anymore. But then when I attacked and like, didn't poison him, I'm like, oh, I have Garbodor, and I know he doesn't play Zerosic or Tool Scrapper. But not playing, but like, turns out like not playing that laser, like I think kind of won me the game because then I used it and knocked something out, and I was like, oh my god, please let me get Verbank laser, please let me donk his egg. Like that didn't happen, and I can't remember if it was game two that I think you said that he junipered and he drew 3 crushing hammers and a laser, and he hit 2 out of those 3 hammers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad. But I mean, I just scooped because it was getting close to time, and he blockaded turn 2, and then there was a turn that if he didn't blockade, like I was just gonna go off, and his last card or he acrobiked, and it was a grass energy.
Yeah, it was like he junipered and then acrobite, and that's how he got this grass energy.
Dude, when he did it and I saw his face, I'm like, all right, well, what's my top deck gonna be?
I mean,
it is what it is. I mean, it's a good deck. It was just there wasn't much I could do about it.
Yeah.
Except try and donk him.
I mean, still top 4 is very great, so congratulations.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
And you got your World Advice, so congratulations.
Woo! Man, I was so nervous. Like, now I can just, like, have fun for the rest of the season.
Yeah, true. Alright, so I guess the first question is, why did you decide to play Garbodor in the Yveltal deck instead of not playing Garbodor?
Well, like, it's really good. I mean, I don't know, like, outside of, like, I guess Groudon, which, I mean, and eggs, like, almost everything else plays an ability. Like, even other Yveltal decks, Toad decks, Virizion decks, which were getting really big again. So I was like, okay, if I'm playing Toad and Yveltal, like, I need to play Garbodor to shut off Virizion. And it just made sense. And I knew that, like, okay, if Virizion's getting big, Yveltal has a really good matchup against Virizion. And so if that's the case, and I think it's going to end, based on what everybody was saying about Nashville, that they just kind of play Yveltal because it's consistent and good. I'm like, okay. Because in Missouri, I played against Andrew Wambalt, and we played almost the exact same list. I was just playing a 2-2 Garbodor, and he was playing the 1-1 Garb and 1-1 Raichu. And when he dropped the Pikachu, I was like, oh no, I'm going to lose. And sure enough, I lost because of that Raichu.
Yeah.
And so I was just, like, the night before, I was like, man, like, a 1-1 Raichu, like, how can I fit in Raichu? And I just remember Wambalt saying, like, you just gotta trust. You just gotta be okay with possibly prizing something. I was like, all right, well, let's risk it because I need to get top 8.
Yeah.
And so, like, Garbodor, it shut off Darkrai. It shut off, like, it was so clutch against Leslie playing fairies. Like, I probably would have lost if I wouldn't have played the Garbodor. So.
Okay. All right. So I guess. Why did you decide to play Garbodor? I mean, not Garbodor, Raichu, just because you knew that national players were playing Yveltal?
Yeah, I just figured that with this kind of like last like week of stage with people trying to get their points, what's the most consistent deck? Yveltal. Like, Yveltal Toad, for the most part, you know. It's just really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your only auto loss, and it's not even an auto loss, it's like a 60-40, 65-35 is Kyogre, and you can still win. And I was like, okay, I want a better matchup against Yveltal because I think I'm going to play against Yveltal more. And, like, there's nothing better than circuiting for 200 damage. It was awesome.
Yeah. Now, after playing the tournament, would you make any changes to the list, or you think it's pretty solid?
Like, the only thing I would probably change, like, I wish I could have fit in a Pokemon Center Lady. Like, it wouldn't have helped in top 8, but I just, there were a lot of times that I just kind of really couldn't do much, or I had to let something die to poison, or take too much poison damage and die from them attacking me when I probably shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. So, like, a Pokemon Center Lady, but Wambalt's list, he played 2 Seismitoad and 1 Keldeo, and I played 3 Seismitoad and no Keldeo, and I think that would have helped him in my top 4 match, and I think it would have helped against John, and maybe a little bit more consistent. But yeah, I think I'd go down to 2 Toad and add a Keldeo or a Pokemon Center Lady.
Okay, all right. So, how many championship points you got currently?
I'm at 331.
Okay, so are you aiming for a certain goal, or are you just sky's the limit kind of thing?
I mean, like, most optimistic part of me says, "Oh, the sky's the limit. Like I could win regionals and I could get over 400 points, 480 points, and maybe get top 16. Like that'd be awesome." Like I was doing the math. Even if I could win and like regionals and get 150 points and that's it, like I probably wouldn't even get top 16. Like that's ridiculous. But anyways, like my goal is just to stay in the top 100. Like I'm 77th now in Canada and US, and so that's $500. And so I want money to go to nationals. And so I just want to be in the top 100. Like if I can get out of like in the next bracket and get 750, like it's just even better. So right now it's just top 100.
Okay. So are you going to any regionals coming up?
Just the Georgia one because I got to work and a bachelor party and other stuff.
Okay. So I know in Georgia it's a whole new format, but do you think Evital Garb will still be a good player? Or you have no idea which one.
Like when I think about it, like a turn 1 Garbodor is, if you can get it, like is going to be so good with Wallies. Like what does Shaman do? I mean, granted, like Shaman Rayquaza and just other Rayquaza decks, like the whole format's just speeding up, and so what if you start Trubbish and you get donked? Like that sucks. Like sorry, Latios, okay, I'm gonna knock out your Trubbish and I don't even have to do anything. So I mean that's kind of nerve wracking, but I think Seismitoad is still going to be really, really good, even though people are for some reason saying it's not. Like you can't Spirit Link, you can't Mega Turbo, you can't do other stuff. So
yeah, true.
I mean I think it's still going to be good, and you can just still load up an Evital, and it's like what are you going to do about it?
Okay, that's very true. Well, do you want to give any shout outs to anybody?
Yeah. Shout out to Team Fish Knuckles, obviously best team in Tennessee. So, yeah, and shout out to you because I literally think like 280-ish points have come because you said, Justin, play this deck. It might be all 331, but I think I have like 40, 35 something points from league challenges when I played like Puka's Flareon list in the beginning of the season. But like even last year, like all 250 of my points came, Justin, play this deck. And when I didn't play that deck, I didn't get points. Like when I played Evital Raichu or Flareon, I didn't get points when you told me not to. So yeah, shout out to John Collier for always letting us stay with him in Nashville, and Samantha too, and driving us when we don't go to Nashville and we go other places. And for Tracy, your girl, for letting you go. And I think that's it. For my mom and dad for having me. Shout out.
Alrighty, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Good luck at regionals, and hopefully you'll stay in top 100.
Dude, if I don't, I'm not. I wouldn't cry, but I might like tear up.
Alrighty, well, take care.
Look at my tattoo. Yeah, I got this. Cool. All right.
Alrighty, bye.
See ya.